Hey everyone, today I'm talking with An Adventure, the creator of the Banner League, about in the second season of the Levistras Explorers Society. Hey, thanks for joining me.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, excited to talk about the league. So this was the first time that I got to kind of create some content, which was very exciting. I know for the first league I was involved like from a promotional standpoint, but this league I had more of a hands-on role in actually creating the league with you, which was super fun experience. I know you did all the back end coding and the hard work to actually make it happen, but maybe next time I'll have to get involved in that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's fun making stuff. You should definitely try it.
I gotta actually learn how to do it, but I'm definitely interested for next time. So anyway, in this video, we wanted to talk about the league, the feedback we received, some future plans, and we'll jump right into it. So the first thing we wanted to talk about is the overall response to the league. So can you give everyone a bit of a breakdown of the number of people that played and some more stats that we have regarding that?
Yeah, so we had 153 league characters, which I found to be pretty surprising because that's like triple the regular population
It's
on
honestly an
Levistras.
insane number of characters, like especially
Yeah,
since we limited it to one character per player this time.
yeah. So I found that really interesting. The total play time across all those characters was 286 days. Uh,
Over
total
four
number of
weeks is like
yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Again,
Total number of titles for this league was 2,871, which is about 18 titles per character on average. So a little lower than the last league, but they weren't a goal. So total number of deaths was 2,691, which was about 17 deaths per character. And I think that's about where I ended up.
I definitely skewed that high. I think I died like 50 times.
Yeah, I had maybe 5 deaths, and then we did the Rinthid tentacle weapons, and I was up to maybe 20. So that was good. Total number of mobs killed was 482,922. I don't remember what it was for the Auroch League offhand, but that's still an impressive number for 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot of
For,
monsters.
yeah,
Especially when it wasn't really like a goal to, hunt or do anything like that.
yeah. There was quite a few rares found. There was 138 rares total. 117 of those were tier 1, 19 were tier 2, and 2 were tier 3. I don't remember offhand all of what the tier 3 are, but I think that's casino keys and healing kits, maybe?
Yep.
Total number of imbues that were attempted was 271, and the successful number was 83, which is about 30%.
Which kind
So,
of makes sense because people were probably taking attempts at abuse that weren't like 33% or 38%.
yeah.
I think I landed like a solid 8 of those 83.
I think I got 2,
Magic
but I did not have weapon tinkering, so I was only doing the magic item
item,
tinkering
yeah.
ones. Yeah. So those are some of the general stats. Do you want to talk about the points?
Yeah, let's get into the points. So the score breakdown for the league, the total score was 604,139 points, which was just over the final threshold that we set of 600,000 total points. So all of the rewards were unlocked. The custom content story arc or Wiston's arc obviously achieved the most points because there were the most points to be achieved there with 194,999 points. The Verindi arc earned 90,697. Palatikit, 90,533. Daracost, 80,180. Althoi, 74,463. And Shadow, 73,267. So Shadow was the least popular of the arcs, or maybe those are more difficult quests. I don't really know.
Yeah, and it's also reflected later on in these numbers too,
Yeah.
that Shadow just had overall lower performance.
So that's the score breakdown. So we wanted to kind of reveal some of the secrets of the hidden quests that were missed, the turn-ins, etc. That weren't solved as part of the league. Um, Honestly, everyone did a really good job solving some of these things with. I mean, we gave no hints except for the turn-ins. So of the hidden quests that we put in, 12 of them were found, and 157 quests were completed. So that's like, one of the hidden quests maybe was completed 10 times by 10 different players. And then for the trophy turn-ins, there were 1,191 total turn-ins. Flaticate had by far the most at 529. Shadow had the least at 71, and then Althaway had 96. Verindi had 195, and Dericost had 300. Um, so I'm sure that Flaticate was the highest because I think that's the graveyard one, like the Pyre Shroud turned in there.
That was the Dericost
Oh,
one.
okay. So that's I
Yeah,
turned in a lot of those for Dericost, I know.
the Flaticot one had the blighted mana crystals, which
Oh,
are a
right.
100% drop rate, and the creatures that drop them are pretty common. So I think I turned in maybe 40 of those myself.
Nice. Do you want to go through the hidden quests that were missed?
Hidden quest number 3 for the Olthoi was the Demon Swarm Sword from the Colosseum.
I don't think anybody ever did Coliseum at all. And I was like, it was being talked about in Discord, and I was like, oh, they might like figure it out if they run Coliseum. Like I think they were talking about the Verindi from Coliseum being one, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll get it, but I don't think anybody ever pulled the Colo run together.
Yeah, I saw the same chat happening, and I was like, "Oh, you're so close! Come on, guys, just give it a shot." All right, so the first hidden quest from the Shadow was the Spire chunk from the Drudge Plan quest. So that's the little piece of Shadow Spire that you can get right outside of Cragstone. So very easy to get. No one got it.
And that was kind of our idea with the like level 1 quests, was they were supposed to be in that like 0 to 50 or sort of range where you could do it almost right away.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't always stick within the guidelines, but generally all of the quests, whether they were the storyline or the hidden or the trophies, were usually like a 0 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 150, and then more than that. Sometimes 150 plus, sometimes 180, whatever. Um, yeah, and this one is definitely in the 0 plus because
Yep.
it's just right there. So the fourth quest from the Shadow line, the hidden quest, was the Frozen Black Crystal. This is from the Necklace of the Golden Flame quest. I think I might have seen someone mention this as a possibility, but it didn't get ran, or at least it didn't get on the spreadsheet. Somebody may have ran this, but
Yeah.
I'm just going off of the spreadsheet here.
I tried to run it honestly, and it's a lot harder than I remember it being. It's definitely like a small group quest, even though it says it's like, I think it's like restricted to like level 90 or something. But it's definitely a tough quest.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually done the quest, which is surprising. So the next one would be the Falaticot. The first hidden quest is the Emerald Clasp. This is from the Moors quest, and I think this is the first one from that quest line, but I'm not sure offhand.
It is, I
But it's
believe,
just
yeah.
yeah, it's just one of the run into a dungeon and grab this item. It's not one of the you don't have to use the portal gem to get into the second dungeon.
This is another one that got mentioned in chat and then never happened or didn't get mentioned again. So people were
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, there was a lot of good guesses, both attempts and just people making guesses that didn't get attempts. So, but yeah, they were definitely on the mark. So the next one would be the third hidden quest from the Falaticot line. And this one, I don't think anyone mentioned this at all. It's the Blight Lord head from the Blight Lord Lair quest, and it would be any of them were accepted.
Yeah, this was a. I mean, again, there's no information on these, so it's easy to miss them. But we were hopeful.
Yeah, I was hoping that because we were requiring, not requiring, but because the Blighted Mana Crystal is one of the trophy items, somebody might think to run the quest. Just like for the Darakost trophy was the first trophy was the seal, and then the seal is needed for Frore. So
Yeah.
trying to get a little pairing synergy there.
Yeah, but I could see how if you were doing it, you'd be like, "Oh, this White Crystal is accepted, so why would they make me use it for the quest too?" But also a hint a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit too. So
The Darakost, three of the hidden quests weren't found. It was only the third one that was found. So the first hidden quest was either the fragment of the fire prism or the ice prism. This is the two lower Empyrean Propylium quests to make the what is it, the prismatic, yeah, the plume of the helm of the elements quest, and is the other fragments from the next tier up, the acid fragment and the lightning fragment. So these ones were both included because they are group quests on either set, and we tried to include a lot of group quests that require, one group in one side of the dungeon and pulling levers for the other. And
yeah, and we included all three of the other quests in this vein in the regular quest arc, so that was kind of like at least I thought that was a little bit of a hint that these were included.
yeah, and I don't recall offhand if anyone did mention maybe trying to run them, but never made it onto the spreadsheet. And the fourth hidden quest for the Darakost line, the item was the mana-infused Acid War Staff of Airfall. This is from Uber Airfall. I was kind of hoping this one would have got found because I was hoping people would have just ran the quest to upgrade their Atlan weapons. I don't know if anyone did, but no one turned in the War Staff.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's just more about the difficulty. Like that quest is very hard, and then just they weren't up for it. It's definitely possible.
All right, and then the Burundi line had quest 1 and 2 of the hidden quests were not found. The first quest, Quiddity Orb, just good old Quiddity Orb. Uh, it's a silly little quest. You got to run around finding those drudges and go through the two dungeons. And wasn't I was going to include it as one of the story quests, but because the two fragments are givable, I decided, nah, and just
It's
use it as a hidden quest.
yeah, it's also one of those ones where like you could get unlucky trying to find the random landscape spawn, and we didn't want that to get people stuck in the actual main quest arcs.
Yep. And the second Verundi quest that wasn't found is the Verundi Signet from the Sword of Frozen Fury quest. This is the item that the Verundi boss drops that you turn in to then go get your sword.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, everyone did a pretty good job finding all the other ones. So, what's the last hidden thing, AA?
Well, before that, there are two trophies that I think were not found as well. Again, they're not on the spreadsheet. So the Darakost fourth trophy. This was the large stone tablet from Neftet. I have no other information about it because I've never been there.
Yeah, I feel like this was maybe a mistake to include on my part. This is kind of like a more rare spawn in Neftet, and we could have just made it like the regular stone tablet given the point values, but we kind of also didn't want it to be super easy, so um, just something we'll consider for future ones.
Mm-hmm. And likewise, the Verundi fourth trophy wasn't found, and this is the Rinthid Minion of Rage's mask.
This one I think would have been found if people had gotten a little bit more lucky at drops on Rinthid Tentacle weapons, because those do drop in there. So,
Yep,
just
I was looting, didn't find any.
yeah.
So the final thing to be revealed is the reward for Uber BSD. People figured out that was the quest. They got that far on the line, and you and I were on maybe the only
I
run,
think so,
but
yeah.
at least a run, but we weren't successful. And the reward for that quest was 5,000 league points for the first run and 1,000 points for repeats.
Which, if we had been successful, I think the points worked out that like beating that would have gotten everyone over the hump of the 600,000 points. I know it got done anyway, but it would have just been super cool and like I don't know, like very poetic to like finish that and then get all the points that the league needed.
Yeah, it would have definitely put us over the line. And we hinted at a special reward for completing that quest. So this is true. The NPC did have an interaction. If you completed Uber BSD and turned in the item and then talked to the NPC again, he would have given you a cookie.
Just to make it totally worth it, here's 4 stamina.
Yep.
I love it. I was very happy that people figured out the sticks hidden trophy for that line.
Yes. That was a little sort of hidden quest, hidden trophy because the custom line we didn't have hidden quests and trophy items. There's I don't know, not enough variation in that to fill all the level tiers we were aiming for. But I believe it was your idea, Phoenix, to just troll people with using the sticks, and it worked out pretty well.
Hey, they finally have a use, so I was happy to give it one. Nice. So yeah, that's all the hidden quests that were missed, all the turn-ins. Let's talk about the changes from the Auric League. So season 1 to the Banner League, season 2 that we liked or had a positive response. So the first one that I think everybody universally enjoyed was the chapter house that you created. Do you want to talk about some of your like, you know, what you wanted to achieve with that? Anything that you think we could do better for season 3 with the chapter house, or
Yeah. So the chapter house, I think I mentioned this in the feedback video for the Auroch League as something I wanted to do. It was basically a direct response to some of the shortcomings of the Auroch League, which was uh, didn't have access to mansions for all the housing items, didn't have shared storage, and also there wasn't really a good place to just meet up. I think we said like, oh, Holtberg's going to be kind of the hometown for the league, but for the Auroch League, everyone just kind of dispersed and went their own ways. So it was really trying to solve those problems, and I think it did that really well. Additionally, we had the the buff type NPC that was just a slightly more convenient version of some of the buffs that are already available in game from quests and NPCs. And we had the shop that will buy everything, which was handy that you didn't have to go running around to find your various NPCs to sell stuff to in some town. Um, and I think the portal devices were really good. I liked the locking them behind league points so you couldn't just run in and go to the center of the Obsidian Plains right away. We did miss a portal device because it doesn't have portal device in its name, so I didn't find it when I was searching for them, but that will definitely be there. And I think that it'd be good to have a few more NPCs in there for buying some basic supplies, like maybe somebody that sells the stuff to make rations, so that you don't have to go to wherever you have to go to get that stuff. Maybe some sort of mage with tapers and scarabs and fletching supply shop as well would be good.
yeah, as an archer, the master Fletcher would have been very convenient in there, or an equivalent type of NPC.
And then one of the other things that was missing from the chapter house, and this was mostly due to time and the fact that I ran out of it, was housing buff items. I managed to get the portal devices working, but I didn't have time to develop a good way to have housing items in there, but not just be freely usable by everybody. So, fingers crossed, I'd like to get that in there.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of good ideas for expanding on the chapter house a little bit, or upgrading it as part of the next season. Let's talk about some changes that had a I don't want to say negative, but more of like a mixed response, and that is allegiances. So allegiances were definitely something that we thought would work well as a way for people to communicate with each other and find groups, um, as opposed to using the roleplay channel like we did in season 1. And I think what ended up happening was the playing field was a little bit unlevel. Pardon the pun, but some people were getting passive experience because they were patron or monarch or whatever, and some people weren't, and it may have felt bad for the people who didn't get passive XP when they were getting out leveled, even though maybe they were playing a lot more. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that, or it's something that we're going to reconsider, I think, for the next season.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much share the same thoughts as you do there. We wanted to have an allegiance mostly for the chat channel because you are not in the roleplay channel by default. You have to join it. You have to enter the join command. And we want it to just be a place where the league has chat and it's not a global channel that everyone else is in on. And yeah, so that's why we did it. And the league being just 4 weeks long, I think we both felt that when we knew there was going to be pass up, but that it just wasn't going to be that big of a deal because it wasn't 3 months of pass up.
Right.
But it was still a big deal, possibly because of how much experience people were getting from the league quests. We kind of trolled people by starting them at level 1, but the league quests were like huge rewards. So yeah, I'm not really certain what we can do, what is possible. If we could make an allegiance that has no pass up, that would be great. I don't know if we can do that and not break regular allegiances on the server. If we can make it so that the quest experience doesn't pass up, that would at least negate some of it. I think no matter what we do, if we're going to have allegiances in the future, it's going to be mandatory that everyone's in the same allegiance. And I don't know, maybe just one of us will be the figurehead monarch.
That's something we discussed like very late, right before the season started, and we just kind of didn't get a chance to implement that. So
Yeah, yeah. And I think it kind of organically formed. We told people, hey, start in Holtberg. It didn't really matter because they all got sent to the league hall right away. But there was a group that were in Shoshi instead, and they just made an allegiance while waiting to start. So because we didn't really have any good guidelines. We just said, hey, you can have an allegiance, not this is what you should do or must do.
right.
So
It's kind of a lesson learned on our part of being more specific and also just trying to figure out some workarounds. But overall, I think it was good in a sense, and then it was bad if you weren't in it because you missed out on that chat, which was the whole purpose of it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I was in the allegiance and there was a lot of chat happening just in the Allegiance channel that didn't get rebroadcast on the roleplay channel. So people certainly did miss out on stuff. And I don't think that was intentional. I think people were just, it's easy to just type /A, hey, I'm doing this quest, and then
Yep.
see who responds.
I totally agree. So the other thing that we wanted to talk about a bit is the scoring. So we did struggle a bit coming up with the exact points that players would need to qualify for rewards, but we eventually did land on these numbers and we thought that they were fair, but there were still people who played the league and maybe missed out on certain rewards. So that's definitely something we don't want to happen. We want anyone who plays and participates in the league to earn the cool rewards. And I don't know if you have thoughts on maybe what we would change in retrospect of how those rewards worked in general.
One of the things that I want to aim for is that the leagues are, it's exclusive content, but it's not supposed to be exclusionary. So like if you don't have as much time to play, but you do participate in it, you should be getting something out of it. And I know there were a fair number of the people just on the leaderboard that didn't qualify for anything or only qualified for the lowest consumable reward and didn't get any of the special rewards. And I think that I would definitely make it so that the the special rewards are not easy to get, but easier than they were.
And
And
we
it's
did
something that
think that we did think that we were putting those at a level where if you participated just a little bit, you would get them. But obviously, maybe we put them a little bit too high in the end.
Yeah, yeah. I think the mistake that we made in the planning phase was we just assigned every quest of the same tier, the same number of league points, and the same experience points, regardless of how difficult the quest was or whether it needed a group or not. So, and a lot of the tier one, two, and three quests were some of those group quests. So people just got stuck. They couldn't progress further until they got a group to run them through the Shadow Captain's Hayum or whatever.
Yep.
Or the Ulthoi Queen. That was another one that a lot of people got stuck on.
And
So,
that goes back to us picking repeat points. Maybe if the repeat points had been slightly better, then it would have given more incentive for people who had already passed, say, the Althoi Queen to go back and run it again for the group. I do think that was happening quite a bit anyway, but maybe just to encourage that even more. I think players who maybe started a day late got left behind a little bit.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, I think the repeat values could be higher. They were only 10% for the main five quest lines. The custom tier, they varied based on what level of quest it was, but they were significantly higher. The first custom quest was a 500 point for the first run and 100 points for repeats. So those ones I think got a lot more reruns as well because they were actually worth doing for the high level players.
Yeah, I actually have that up now, and maybe we can jump right into that, which is the quests that were completed by the players. So there were 3,081 story quests completed. There were first time quest runs were done 1,057 times, and repeats 2,024 times. And then if you break down the quests run by storyline, custom quests were run 611 times, but the actual most run quests were Verindi at 716, which is kind of surprising to me. I don't know what quest was it that was getting rerun a lot.
Maybe call flagging or the Nor Quiddity Seed because it was just broken. You would just go talk to
Oh
Acheron.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's stuff that
And,
we was not our responsibility, I would say.
no,
That's
that's
just
on
like
Ace.
broken in Ace, yeah, unfortunately. Um, so just to further break it down, the Daracost quests were run 522 times, Vladik 472, all the way 400, and then Shadow again the least at 360. And then if you break it down by tier 1, 424, tier 2, 511, tier 3, 589, and then tier 4 was the sweet spot apparently because these quests were run 917 times, which is far away more than any other tier. Tier 5, 507, and then tier 6, which we were kind of viewing as bonus quests. Like, we weren't really expecting these necessarily to get run, or 133 quests were completed.
And that's still a pretty good number too. Like when you think about we had 153 players or yeah, characters total. And I'm going to guess that a certain number of those, maybe a third, weren't over level 150 or 100. So it's a pretty good number of those bonus quests that actually got ran by the players that could run them.
Yeah, for sure. So, another thing that we had quite a bit of feedback on was the league duration. So, season one, the Oric League was 3 months, which felt a bit too long. There was a very big noticeable lull in the middle of the league where not too many people were playing, which I know was over the holidays, but the 3 months still felt long to me. And then Banner League, we decided to do a 4 week season, which you can kind of blame on me because I had expecting my first child, as I've mentioned on the channel before, and moving. So a lot of life events happening outside of AC, and wanted to be present for the whole league. So that's why we went with the shorter duration. Also, we thought that the shorter duration would be good, but it obviously felt too short to most players. So, what do you think would be the ideal length for a league going forward?
I feel like 6 to 8 weeks is definitely on the table for the next league. Uh, that feels like the right length for me. Maybe it'll need to be a little bit longer because I know with the 4 week duration, there were some people that just they had like a week long vacation, and so they missed a quarter of the league, right? Um, but I think 6 to 8 weeks seems like a good spot for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree to that. And you have to remember another thing we're balancing with the duration of the league is there are people who are playing on the server who don't want to participate in the league, and we don't want to take away the majority of the server population from playing with them for too long of a period of time. So that's part of the reason why there are big gaps between the leagues, and part of the reason why we don't want these leagues to be the 3 months again.
Yeah, there was definitely feedback from the Auroch League that uh, it was really difficult because of some of the restrictions we had, where you couldn't run quests with Auroch League players at all. Um, and because it was so long, there was just quests that people would like, oh, I can't run that because Auroch League is running it right now, or a person that is in the Auroch League would want to run it, but they weren't allowed to. So,
Right. And we made a lot of changes to make that better for season two, and I think those changes were received quite well. I didn't really
yep,
hear
yeah,
any of that same feedback or notice any of those issues myself while playing. And
yeah.
it could just be have been something simple like, hey, I'm getting the 120 matron hive, and now like if there's a non-league player in there, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely had at least one occasion where I went into one of the matron hives and it was just dead. And I was like, well, I've completed this quest by myself 5 times. I don't feel bad about just taking the trophy.
Yep.
So, because it was just about can you do it yourself, not you must do it yourself.
All right. Let's talk about the build restrictions a bit. So, were you happy with how these played out after all the tinkering that we did with the different restrictions to finally get a set that, we went live with? Or do you think that there was some stuff that we missed in the end?
I was mostly happy with it. I think that the this or that system was a improvement over the classes and the multi-classing from Auroch League. I think that was just a bit too complicated. You had to like get to a certain level to unlock your multi-class, and you had to train the skills in a certain order, and there was a big old spreadsheet to keep track of all of it. And we got a lot of questions of people saying, "Can I build this? Is this allowed?" So I think it really simplified it a lot while still having the same kind of limits on your character that the leagues are going for. We're trying to make it so that it's more difficult than just playing your regular characters. So I think the system we built was good. Uh, Having mana conversion be unrestricted, that was good. We had a lot of feedback that no one wanted to play a Void Mage for Auroch League because they didn't get mana conversion. They'd
Yeah.
have to like go through the War Mage path.
Yep. That change was received very well, and you could see that by the number of mages, War and Void, that were running around this league. So I think that was really good.
Yeah, this league was definitely it favored mages a lot because of the controversial choice, which was pairing item magic and melee defense. So I think we had a good idea with this, which was the choice between evading melee attacks or having better armor stats so that you just negate the damage. But in practice, very few people actually took melee defense over item because item is just way too useful. And even with the portal devices in the League Hall and the Verindi Shroud that I updated to be like a full Baning set of underclothing, it wasn't enough to make people ditch item magic, understandably. So
Yeah. Yeah, not I mean just the travel time. It makes it worth it. So that's something. I mean, again, you have to remember we are limited by the skills of Asheron's Call as well, which are um, pretty limited. And maybe we're not limited by that. It's something we're thinking about for future leagues. So um, we were happy with the mages. We really wanted summoning to be nerfed, and I think we did a good job with that. There definitely were people who still picked summoning even with the huge penalty um,
yeah,
of
I
creature
don't know how many
removal.
people had it specialized, but I know there were some people that just took trained because I think you lost out on creature magic, but you could still have life magic if it was just trained, or
Correct.
it was the other way around. But Uh, yeah, I was surprised to see as many people with summons. It just goes to show how overpowered that skill is.
Yeah. I think personally, I thought archers would be a lot more prominent. You could make like a pretty good, basically mage archer where you had, which is what I played, which where you have missile weapons, creature, life, item, and you just missed melee D. So if you were gonna play without melee D anyway, then that felt pretty good. But I think I was the only person playing missile weapons except for one other player who was using like atlatls and you know, files and shield and stuff, which was a really cool build.
Yeah, there were not a lot of missile weapons characters. It did seem like something that would have been an easier path that a lot of people didn't take for some reason.
It was one of the builds we had flagged, like, is this too good? And then so few people played it. I was just surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So I think that's everything that I had. Do you want to talk about a little bit about our plans for future leagues and what we may or may not have in store for people?
Sure. Yeah. So the next league is going to be the Karenzi League, and we're shooting for a start date around the new year, so the first or second week of January 2025. Still up in the air, but that's what we have on our calendar right now. Uh, Probably going to be a 6 to 8 week duration, and for that league, the chapter house, it's going to come back. It's going to have changes, improvements. Uh, I want to use the scoring system again, and by that I mean having quest flags that it increments up when you complete things, and then you can view your score in game. Because the Orac League is a big pain for Spigot and for us to like get the scores and get them out to people. So that was a huge improvement. I want to keep using that. We're definitely going to have build restrictions again. Uh, I think we're going to try something different. The Orac League, we had these classes and we had multi-classing. Banner League, we had the this or that, where certain skills locked out other skills. Not certain what we're doing yet, but we're definitely going to be trying something different. Um, and then as far as the theme for the league, or how you earn points, we have some ideas for that. Again, the Orac League, it was all about getting titles and levels, and this league was about completing these custom quest lines. And we have some ideas for a different theme for how you're going to get points.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I would like to say about the future league is that we have so many ideas. We actually have maybe too many ideas for what the next league could be, and it's almost tough to like narrow it down to what we want to go with. So I think that people will enjoy what we do end up coming with. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for this wrap up video. AA, I really appreciate you joining me to talk about the league. I know I enjoyed playing it too, and I look forward to playing in the next one and designing the next one. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was really good having you as part of the design team. We even got to sneak Jones back in a little bit at the end for some rebalancing.
For some QAQC of the of the skills at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Hope to get you to actually build some content too. It's real fun, I swear. Um,
They're really
Not
selling it
frustrating at
there.
all. Oh, it's great. The tools that have been built are really easy to use, and I find it really enjoyable to build out these quests and build these items up and stuff. Um, and a lot of the hard work's done because we already built the chapter house.
That's true. That should be easy to improve on that going forward. So awesome. Well,
Yep,
thanks
yep.
again for joining me, and that's going to be it for this one.